Hi, you are watching Self Motivated with Phil W. Jones, and today I have my special guest, Jami Stephens, momtrepreneur, social media expert. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Great, great. So, with all this, being the worship leader and having children, is that very hard trying to do the social media and be an
I would
entrepreneur?
say it was good preparation. So being a mom just in general teaches you how to manage time better, how to manage difficult situations better, how to manage difficult people better.
Right.
So it was good preparation, just having schedules to juggle, and yeah, it was.
Your business is called the Small Biz Big Mouth, correct?
That's correct. So part of that is me. I have a big mouth. I like to talk. If you talk to me for 5 minutes, you're going to talk to me for a good 20 minutes.
Right.
So I just thought it was really good. I wanted to focus on small businesses that don't have a big advertising department or a big marketing department behind them.
Right.
If they are going to get their names out there, they need to do it themselves. They need to be their own advocates. So I knew there was a gap there just in general, all over the nation. So I wanted to fill it.
Awesome. So tell me, what is social media to you, actually?
Social media to me is just an extension of relationship building. It's just a one-to-many platform where you get to go out there and let people know who you really are. I always teach my business leaders, your website tells people what you do, but your social media presence tells them who you are.
That's good. So with that being said, how would you explain or tell someone that's just trying to get started, the person that has no knowledge about social media, that's just let all this time go by and just now, they have like nothing. They just want to get into it. They have a company. Would you say would you rather tell them to start their own page and do it themselves, or would you say it would be better for someone that has knowledge about social media to help them and kind of guide them into the right way?
It's always nice to have a tour guide whenever you go anywhere, and it just depends on your personality and your level of comfortability. Some people like self-guided tours. Some people like an actual physical guide that's going to point things out. But regardless whether they want to be self-guided or whether they want someone to hold their hands, it's nice to have a guide.
Right.
That way it just shortens the learning curve. So I tell everyone, social media is not rocket science.
Right.
You can figure it out.
Definitely.
But do you have all these hours and all this time to put into that, or would you like a shortcut?
Right.
And that's where it comes into play to have that guide.
Well, yeah, I feel like social media takes up all your time. Honestly, I can go all day promoting and marketing, and before I know it, there's just so much time. You look at the clock, and it's like time to pick up your kids, and you're like, I haven't finished this yet, and then you go pick them up, and you have to go right back to it. So, social media is very time consuming. So I don't feel like just anybody could do it. Especially if you're trying to run a business that isn't social media, you just, so it would seem like it would be difficult.
Absolutely. So where it helps is that as a consultant or as a manager, depending on what people need, you can point them in the right direction and say, okay, let's focus. Let's figure out, what is your message? Who's your audience? What are you trying to accomplish and in what time frame? And then from there, you can build a strategy so people aren't on there, getting their whole day sucked in, because it really can be really engaging and you can totally lose track of time.
Definitely. So what do you think would be the best social media outlet for someone, as far as, does different businesses need different social media accounts, or
Absolutely.
do you use them all? How does that work?
So generally I tell my business owners, have a presence everywhere. Go ahead and create a profile on Facebook, create a profile on Instagram, create a LinkedIn profile, create a Twitter profile. But when it comes to which one are you going to be active on and which one will you devote your time to, or money if you're going to do ads, we have to figure out who your target audience is. What are their demographics? Because that's going to tell you where to focus your time. If your target demographic is 13-year-olds through 25-year-olds, we're not going to start you on Twitter.
Right.
We're going to go over to Snapchat and we'll spend some time there.
Right.
If your target demographic is all stay-at-home moms, maybe we should focus you on Pinterest. So it really depends. If your target demographic is business to business and you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we have a problem.
Right.
So it really depends what's their target demographic, and that's where we'll focus our time, but they should be everywhere.
Right. So what is LinkedIn pretty? I mean, like, basically for those that don't know, is LinkedIn more, because that seems like it's more strictly for professional, nothing personal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of looked at it as just kind of being like more business.
LinkedIn is very much a business platform used to build connections. Even like you see, like you're not going to friend anyone on LinkedIn.
Right.
You make connections. It's very much for networking, very much for letting people know, hey, this is my area of expertise. Let me help you here, or maybe you can help me. So there's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. You can upload your entire resume. You can have people endorse you for your skills. You can also learn. They have education there. So it's a really nice platform if you're looking to make connections in the business world. But it's also a great place to polish everything up. So if you are in the market and you're trying to get hired somewhere else, that's probably where they're going to vet you. That and Facebook, they're going to vet you in both places.
What would be the best strategy as far as someone trying to get a job? Because, you know, LinkedIn, I guess you could say, is more for the business side.
Absolutely.
But then you have Facebook that is more personal. You know, you might be going off on someone. So, I mean, like, how do you think jobs look at both?
I definitely think jobs look at both, and so you'll want to clean up your personal profile on Facebook and just make sure that it's consistent with what you're presenting on LinkedIn. And I'm not saying, you know, don't put your resume on Facebook. Don't all of a sudden, you know, start talking about, you know, if you're an HVAC guy, you don't want your whole personal page to be about Linux cooling systems necessarily, but you maybe want to take down some of those old pictures you had where maybe you were doing New Year's Eve or maybe you were a little rowdy. Maybe take some of those things down, or some things that might incriminate you or may not be a good reflection of who you would be as an employee.
Right. Well, tell me about the Small Biz Big Mouth. Exactly what does your company do?
My company does everything from social media auditing, which is taking a look at your website, your social media profiles, seeing if they're consistent, then giving you a report and say, hey, here's what you're doing really, really well. Here's what I suggest that you change so we can get you to your target. Everything from that to doing consulting, to doing education. I actually have a course called Court Your Customers that teaches you everything from building your Facebook page to engaging on a regular basis. And then beyond, I do content management. So if you're just extremely busy, you want to wipe your hands of the whole thing and just hand it off and say, look, what I do best is this. You do what you do best, then I can do that as well.
So how important is analytics for social media?
Analytics are everything if you are spending money. If you are spending money or if you want engagement, so even if you're not spending money, but I tell people for sure, do not spend a dime on analytics or on advertising if you haven't looked at your analytics.
Right. So do you feel like you should have Periscope, Pinterest, if you're just, say, a musician, should you have all those things, or is it just certain social media sites that, you know, musicians should have? Or?
I say make a profile everywhere. Everywhere there is to be made, every platform you hear of, make a profile. If for nothing else, just to get your name. It pays to be first. That makes you consistent across all your platforms. That way you're not like Jami Stephens 1 here and Jamie S here, and you want to be consistent across. So go ahead and make a presence everywhere, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay engaged and post regularly and do all those things on those. You really need to figure out where's your target demographic. Where do they hang out? Wherever that place is, that's where you put your flag. That's where you put your most focus and attention.
Right. So how important is it to stay on top of trends on social media?
Wow. For me, that's what I do first and foremost every single day. If I'm going to manage content for other people, if I'm going to consult with people, if I'm going to tell people how to optimize their presence, I need to make sure that I'm on top of what's happening. So I stay on top of it every day. That's without question. For businesses and stay on top of it as much as you can is what I would let people know. And most platforms have their own blogs, have their own place that they put out their updates. You don't want to fall so much in love with a platform that you hang on for dear life after everybody else has left.
Right,
so it's important to know what's coming up, what's changed. And then when you figure out what's changed, is this something that I can use for my business or for my, for my organization? If it is, use it.
Right, definitely. So explain to me what algorithms are.
Algorithms are the thing that really make my geek flag just wave. So algorithms are basically artificial intelligence. It's the thing that makes Facebook know that, oh my goodness, we should show you this advertisement for these shoes because you just spent the last 2 hours looking at shoes. It's the thing that lets them know, we know you love your Aunt Pearl, but we're not going to show you all of her stuff because every time she posts something, you just scroll right by.
Wow.
In the last month, you haven't spent more than 1 second looking at her post, so we're just going to stop showing you Aunt Pearl's posts.
Wow.
So basically, it's underlying code that factors in how much time you're spending reading things, what kind of things do you consistently look at, what people do you engagement with, even so far as like direct messaging. Sometimes some platforms will look at who are you direct messaging. If you're direct messaging that person, you probably have a relationship with them. Let me show you their posts more often.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why the Lakers always pop up, I guess, on my page. I'm like, why'd they just pop up? Because I'm always looking at Laker gear or something like that.
There you go.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell me this. What is it that motivates you and inspires you to get up each morning and to be this entrepreneur that you have become?
Mostly it's freedom of time. So I loved my job as a voice application developer. I loved to solve puzzles. So every day that I got to write new code and figure out how to best put together what my client, which was a business unit, what they need to get done. They would say, hey, we need this menu that needs to be developed and we need to be able to send it to 3 different agent groups. So I got to put together a puzzle, which was awesome. And I love technology, so that was fun. But what wasn't fun was I also get to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I'm the only person that does what I do. So I really wanted to be able to say, okay, if my husband wants to go on a trip, we can go on a trip. If I want to go on a trip for my church, I can go on a trip for my church. If my son needs me to pick him up right now because he forgot his violin, I can go, pick him up. So freedom of time was one thing, and then just seeing potential, seeing a gap, especially when it comes to my faith, and seeing really an opportunity for another mission field. That's what motivates me.
That's awesome. So tell the world where we can find you.
Oh, where can't you find me? My favorite platform is Facebook. So if you want to find my business page, that is www.facebook.com/thesmallbizbigmouth. On the World Wide Web, www.com. Wow.
You're fine.
www.thesmallbizbigmouth.com. I'm on Twitter as Mrs. Jami Stephens. I'm on Instagram as Mrs. Jami Stephens. And if you just wanted to look at my personal profile, because there is nothing private, just go to www.facebook.com, Jami.Stephens, and it's Jami no E and Stephens PH.
Consistency. See that? Well, thank you for being on my show.
It was a pleasure.
And there you have it, Self-Motivated with Phil W. Jones, my guest, Jami Stephens. And remember, the media can only find you when you're being social.